Alright, let's make a graphite transfer. First thing you gotta do is take a soft pencil, number 2 pencil, and just rub the back of the paper. Just like that, and I like to kind of shift an angle and go another way just so I can fill in all of the back nice and evenly. Try to fill out any little gaps that might cause an issue and will make me lose detail when I'm doing the transfer later. We're using a scratch board for this transfer in particular, but you can use paper to do this. You can do it on a canvas. Any surface will really work wherever you can basically draw a pencil on. You can do a graphite pencil transfer too. So I like to tape it down just so the paper doesn't shift around while I'm trying to add the details exactly where they're supposed to be. I'm adding a little bit of pressure to my pencil and I'm just going over all of the edges, the shape of the pumpkin, where the shadows are, where the lights and darks are, and just trying to get in as much detail as I can. Now the thing about edges is, yes, I am drawing the edges of the shape, so both the circular, round, spherical kind of shape of the pumpkins here, but I'm also outlining where the differences in light and shadow are, because those also create edges. An edge is where two things meet. So the side of the pumpkin in the background, that circular curved edge is where those two things meet. And you can tell the difference in the edge by the differences in shadow. So the background is very light there on the right side, and the pumpkin is just slightly darker, and that creates an edge. And that's what makes you see the shapes of objects, is the edges. It's always good to flip your paper up and down, kind of back and forth many times, just to see if you got the detail that you want. The more detail that you have, the more information that you have, the better off you are, so that you're not guessing later on. You're not guessing where that highlight is supposed to be, or where that shadow is supposed to be, or what the shape is. And as you can see, I was able to get a nice kind of silvery, shiny transfer. Same exact shape. It's kind of like I traced it, but I didn't need to be sitting by a window or anything. Now, here I'm filling in what I know to be the highlights, to be where it is the brightest or the widest in the image. So I kind of noticed that the stem has a couple of highlights in those kind of ridges in the stem, so I'm kind of tackling those first. And another kind of easy place to start is just the background. It's kind of the biggest area, and it also has the least amount of detail. So just filling it in with that, just all with white, is probably where you want to start. And just kind of a scratch board, you do want to kind of go into the highlights first and get everything that is white first, and then kind of inch your way into the shadows and blending and kind of leaving off more when you get to those shadowy areas, or not scratching in as much so it appears darker. And there you can kind of see the edge is forming while I am curving around the pumpkin and filling in the outside. I'm looking for highlights looking for the widest areas. And yeah, I'll just draw for a little bit more. Just keep going, and that's how you do a graphite transfer. You can do it on any surface. Here is about maybe 30 minutes of drawing, kind of my progress so far. And I was talking about edges in the video. I'm going to point out exactly what an edge is, because I think it can be kind of confusing. So if you look at my kind of more round pumpkin, you can say it has round edges. This is the edge. And I can clearly see the edge. Even though my marks are still a little scratchy and messy, I have made sure to make the background lighter than the pumpkin, as is shown in the picture. So here you can see with the pencil where I kind of drew the edge, and you can also kind of see how you can clearly see that the background and the pumpkin are different shades. You can see it a bit more clearly here. Okay, the shadowy area of the pumpkin is very dark, while the background is a bit lighter, and that's what makes this edge. So when I'm talking about edges, it's this. Differences in shadow and light. Okay, on this pumpkin, you can see kind of where my grooves are, where I was drawing the differences in shadow. For example, up here, this is kind of a light little wedge section, and then this is a shadow. So I drew the edge where the light is and where the shadow is. And also don't forget the cast shadow. Sorry, the cast shadow here. Okay, dark, shadow, white table. Draw the edge to give you the information of where it is.